was whispering, and she said they were in a room locked up because there were shooters, and that she thinks they were in another building, but she wasn't positive. And then she was going to turn off the lights, and then she had to go because I don't think they wanted to talk. Just in case the shooters were there, I don't think she wanted to get shot. So, of course, you're going to be quiet, and we hung up.
They were trapped. People inside an office building on a perfect Southern California day when gunshots rang out. People who have cell phones, purses, briefcases, not weapons. Suddenly realizing one of those bullets could end their life, and they have no way to defend themselves. In most cases, it's not always about having a weapon, but knowing what to do with or without one, and what not to do in order to give yourself a better chance of surviving. Our guest is a U.S. Army Special Forces veteran who specializes in situational awareness. Partners in the S2 leadership experience. He's led multiple combat operations. Likely never thought we'd have to discuss combat here at home in this manner. Scott Neal joins the Hardline. Scott, it's a pleasure to talk to you again, and I unfortunately have to begin by looking at a list of the 28 deadliest mass shootings in U.S. history, and I see places like a college, an elementary school, a McDonald's, a cafeteria, Fort Hood, Texas, an immigrant community center. Do we sadly have to say to ourselves and realize there is no safe place in this country from this sort of tragedy?
Well, evil minds and evildoers have no boundaries. So what we're seeing, it is America. It is very real, and hope is not a strategy. You have to become, self-aware and very educated and come to the reality that every day you're going to be challenged in situations like this.
Do we just go back to something my grandfather told me a long time ago when I grew up in New York City? He said, Edward, always have your head on a swivel. Is that basically what situational awareness is? You've constantly got to be looking around and know what's within and what is not within your line of sight.
Actually, there's a little bit of science to all of this, and these were our human intuitions that help us survive. Things like the hair on the back of your neck and that field of view. All of these things are very real and true. And what I've done and what we've done in some of our courses is show the everyday citizen how to understand their environment, not only themselves, but those around them. I mean, we're very pattern oriented. We liked our routines, but then predators are kind of stick out. In the animal kingdom, they know that. But here in humans, we become biased against it and we go about our routine.
So here we have people in an office building, any sort of an office building, if you will. It could be here in this television station. It could be at your work, whatever. What's the first thing you want to tell people that they need to think about and need to be prepared for?
Well, nobody like you and your coworkers knows that building better. So you understand entrance and egress and routes and, where the front desks are, where the escape routes are, how high your windows are. All of these things take time to look at that, and you have to do it now. As school children, we learned how to go underneath the desk in case of a hurricane or out to a corner or in the bathtub. Unfortunately, Americans need tools and strategies and, quite frankly, training on what to do today.
Scott, there are some people who say that everybody should have a weapon. As a matter of fact, there are some people who say that every citizen should have one, every office should have one, and everybody should know how to use one. Do you agree with that?
Well, I agree with it, and so did our forefathers, and they very strategically put it into our Second Amendment. Now, they didn't have the hindsight of the internet or terrorism or the atom bomb, but they knew the right of every citizen to protect themselves, not only from the state or to join as a militia, but circumstances like this, and you can see right behind me in my very own office, I very safely have tools to defend myself and my coworkers as well.
Is there not a fear, though, that you have to make sure that you're trained? Because if you put a gun in somebody's hand and they're not trained and all of a sudden somebody gets a little Wild West when they see something happening, that can be just as dangerous as the terrorists themselves, yes?
Exactly. And if you look at the walls, they're thin and these bullets do things. And if you're going to take the responsibility to arm yourself with knowledge. Arm yourself with tools and training. Once again, weapons are just an extension. And if you're not proficient in any of that, you're a victim to it. So regulations, more regulations. It's already against the law to kill somebody and to be a terrorist. That's not the solution. But an armed citizen is there before the first responders.
Scott, I got about 30 seconds left. The media has not used these words a lot. I certainly have in many cases. Do you think it's time that we call this what it is, domestic terrorism?
Well, I've been calling that all along, so I don't know where everybody's not on the bus on this. It is a reality, and as us as citizens, I guess we have to inform ourselves. Our leadership is not there. We can deny it, but it's already at our doorstep, and be prepared. It doesn't stop until we stop it.
What are people afraid of just using those words?
It's denial. Denial, and once again, hope is not a strategy. We cannot hope this will go away, and we can't legislate it away. It is a human condition, it's evilness, and you can only prepare yourself, your family, and your loved ones.
Put that on a T-shirt. Hope is not a strategy. More people need to understand that and use the words domestic terrorism out loud. Scott Neal, it's always a pleasure, my friend. Thanks so much for joining us. Please be safe. Now, candidates from both sides who take advantage of tragedy. But is it the right time to make such statements, regardless of what anybody thinks? That's next and a whole lot more on The Political Animal, right here on the fastest 60 Minutes in News.